drawing 5 lessons from 100 rides. You know, I don't ride every day. I ride 2 or 3 times a week. I'm far from the world's best cyclist, even a long way from the world's best 63-year-old cyclist. Just another cyclist out there having a ride. I started this project recovering from some surgery. Just gratitude for being on the bike, turning the legs over and seeing the countryside roll by. So I'm just grateful to be still riding. Let it roll! Heart working, legs working, lungs working. Just be grateful for the sweat and the toil and the wind rush going down a big hill and getting the lean just right into a sharp corner. Be grateful you can still grit your teeth and climb. Come on. So, you know, just be grateful for the daily ride. Be grateful for those warm, sweaty days and the freezing cold, nose running days, the rainy days and the headwinds. Don't go down, Huey! Good flogging in the headwind today. Yep, it's a westerly. And then the tailwinds will come along. And the sun will come out, the temperature will be perfect. And you're still out riding. I reckon that's gratitude. It's another winter ride and it's freezing cold and the rain just feels like little pellets of ice, but it's another ride. There's that last little shower that just gave me a little midday wash. You know, my mates that I ride with, Thomas and Axe, they're far stronger, better cyclists than me, so I just have to accept I can't keep up with them. But I push myself as hard as I can. It's how you get a little bit stronger. The outdoors and activities like cycling are great teachers of that. Just assess the situation and come up with a plan and try to execute it. Accept the results. We just had the vet out to see my old dog Buzz. He's probably on the way out, old Buzz. The next few weeks or month or 2. He's always there to give me a sniff, see where I've been when I get back from a ride, or comes down to the gate, wags his tail. But we just have to accept what's going to happen. Give him as good a finish to his life as possible. Not every ride's got to be your best ride or your fastest ride, or I mean, I used to keep a little training diary for my paddle times and run times and ride times. It wasn't really worth keeping for my swim times. But I don't do that anymore. Just enough to get out on the bike and get out in the countryside. Accept each ride for what it is. winter sunlight. That's a gift. Till it dries out, that'll keep the neck nice and cool. Well, it's late on a blue sky winter day. Finally warmed up late afternoon, so did a few jobs outside and try and sneak in a quick ride on my home loop, which is about a 50-minute ride. I try to get something out of every ride, but usually it's just something that the road gives. Spotted a little echidna up here. There he goes.
Alive.
But I think you're right, I don't think it's been run over. Mate, don't wake him up. When I did my PhD, I used a form of philosophy called phenomenology. People have now used the expression lived experience. And basically it means to try and understand how people interpret their raw experience of the world. It's a philosophical examination of everyday experiences. I think it really helped me get into looking at just the mundane everyday experience, taking notice of things. And then sometimes something in the everyday experience will just pop out just because you're consciously taking notice of things. One of my favourite spots on my home loop, the old stockyard. Just getting back into it this year and trying to develop a new level of insight into a pretty common everyday activity. And I think it's one of the great things about cycling. You can just jump on your bike at home and ride straight out the front gate. 10-15 minutes of light, so I better get scampering. Trying to understand your everyday experience, the habits and routines and assumptions. I think it's a good lesson because not only do you appreciate things more, but you can also break out of some of those assumptions and habits and form new ones as you try to keep growing. I'm just driving home after a ride with Thomas up into the Stresleckies, and I've been thinking about that next lesson from a year of riding. You know, it hasn't been the easiest year, so particularly riding regularly is just fantastic for your well-being. I mean, obviously you're getting a little bit fitter on each ride or each month of riding. But really the biggest benefit to me for the year has just been that sense of well-being that you get after a ride. Or at some point during the ride. I mean, most often if I've been having a bit of a down day, I'll get out on a ride and it'll take 30 or 40 minutes, sometimes 50 minutes. But at some point I'll just click in and start feeling better about the day and life. And everything's green again. Rainwater tanks are full. Farmers have got their hay stored. So And some of that just comes on individual rides, but a lot of it is because you've got a couple of mates to ride with. So there's that social aspect to exercise as well. And that's not rocket science. Everyone needs that sort of sense of connection and a couple of good mates to have a ride with. And even if you just talk nonsense, which we often do. What was this track, Thomas? B21?
B nothing, BS. BS like bullshit.
Bullshit track. So that sense of well-being you just get from a regular activity like cycling has been just such a huge bonus for me this year. So that's something I hope to keep doing. I probably haven't felt like I'm a strong enough rider to go out in a pack ride, and I'm not sure how much I'd enjoy it. But I do enjoy the solo rides, and that soup on a cold day, so good. I do enjoy the company of either Dave or Thomas, people that I know well.
It's nice to ride on, but it's wet.
What are you thinking of this red dirt, mate?
I love it when it's not wet. It is it's the best surface nearly, but
that's one of the best surfaces we've ridden on.
Yeah.
For me, that sense of well-being you have after a ride, or that you click into during a ride, is just one of the absolute benefits from an activity like cycling, which you can just do on so many levels. Well, it's ride number 100. I'm going to ride into town, then up the Leake, and over the top of the highest little peak I can see, with the kicker near the top, and that should give me a beautiful view across most of the valley, where probably 90% of the rides in this year of riding have taken place. It's an absolutely stunning winter's day, and blue sky as far as you can see all over the Gippsland roads and hills. So what a beautiful day to be out for a ride. Howdy, beautiful day. Well, I'm on the long, steady climb up into the Leake, which I must have done dozens and dozens of times this year, alone or with Thomas or with Axe. You just have to find a rhythm to which you belong. In the gears, turning the pedals, in your breathing. That's a lesson from the road and the bike. You just got to search for it. Try and find that balance. Till at the very top you break through the trees and come out and you just feel like you're up in the sky. Now we're climbing up towards the ridge. It gets steeper and steeper, but it's still not the kicker. And you come around that last turn and there's the kicker. Somehow you've got to find a way to get to the top. I'm hammering as hard as I dare go. Chasing the light at the end of the road. Just got to embrace the story. You know, I think when we finish the ride and get home, we're changed a bit. It might be a lot, or it might be a tiny infinitesimal change we've been through because of that ride, and you try and fit that in to the story you're telling yourself about your life. And you know, riding is part of it, so you know, you wonder if you're trying to hold back old Father Time a bit, or write some kind of redemption story, or whatever it might be. In the end, you know, human experience is too complex to tell, but you know, you're changing your life story. You're fitting cycling in nearly every day. You're covering a lot of miles on your own and with friends, and through all sorts of different conditions, and over all sorts of tracks and roads and landscapes. And it just shapes who you are. So I think we've got to just embrace that opportunity to make cycling part of our story. You know, it's a different way of being. It's a different way of moving through the landscape, seeing the world and being in the world. And that's part of your story as a cyclist, climbing up the hill and putting up in the sky and then swooping back down into the valley again. Turning over the pedals and getting back home. You know, cycling's one of those activities that just gets you through the year, and every year is going to have its highs and lows, its joys and its sadness and grief, and this year certainly had that. Somehow you've got to get yourself back on the bike and turn the pedals over again and go for another ride.